when Krishna wanted to come manifest his pastimes, Lord Brahma said, I want to render some service. So then he became the four faces of Varsana. He has four faces and there's four hills. Vilaskar, Dangar, Mangar, and what's his name? But then Lord Shiva, he wanted to also render some service. So he said, my Lord, can you have your pastimes on me? Can you render your pastimes? So then, of course, Lord Shiva manifested himself as Nandishwar Hill. And then Nanda Baba made his palace there, and Krishna advented in Gokul, and then he came there and had so many pastimes. So that's, the Lord has come there, Lord Shiva has come there to render service in that way. And then all over the Vrindavan, Lord Shiva is manifested in different principal Shilas. So I want to discuss those five principal forms of Lord Shiva in Vrindavan. And then maybe we can discuss some pastimes that are known to us. So first of all, Lord Shiva is very, very close to the Lord, because ultimately, as I mentioned, he's a direct expansion from Sankarshan, Balaram to Sankarshan, Sadashiva, and then Sadashiva expands as the Rudras and Shivas of this world for different functions. But we see in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, when it describes Lord Shiva, you see the vast difference between Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma or any of the other demigods. They're all devotees, and they render wonderful service. I mean, Brahma, he's the creator, and he's the Adi Guru. Of course, Lord Shiva is also Guru, in terms of Balaram being the original Guru. But Krishna first spoke this knowledge to Lord Brahma, then Brahma spoke it to Narada, like that. But Lord Shiva, he has all the knowledge within him. And we see that when Krishna is dealing with, throughout in the Bhagavatam and other places, when Brahma comes on the scene, he gives boons sometimes to people like Hiranyakashipu got a boon from Brahma. And that caused a lot of problems for Prahlad Maharaj and for the saintly people in general and for the universe, for the demigods. Then Lord Nrsimhadev had to come. And Lord Nrsimhadev didn't have much to say to Lord Brahma. In fact, Lord Brahma was completely afraid of Lord Nrsimhadev, and he was hiding because he thought, I gave this terrible benediction. So they were first they pushed Lakshmi there, the wife of Nrsimhadev, and said, here, please calm him down. He's seething with anger. I'm afraid he's going to kill all of us also. Well, especially Brahma was afraid. And so Lakshmi said, I don't know who this is. I don't recognize this person with all these arms and these long teeth and everything. I never saw my husband like that. So then Prahlad Maharaj, he went there. He was able to pacify his beloved Lord with his sweet devotion. And then Indra, of course, he came and so much rain was there. And then after the Govardhan Lila, and he was embarrassed and felt very shameful. And not only shameful, but extremely frightened, because he thought the Lord would retaliate against him and finish him off completely. So Lord Indra was hiding and kept really quiet and hid for many years. And he felt really bad. He couldn't sleep at night, and he couldn't digest his chapan bhog, and he couldn't enjoy any of the pleasures of Indraloka. So then he consulted with his Gurudev, and they said, look, you made a grave offense to the Brijvasis and the Lord, you better go there. So in these different ways, Krishna ignores these demigods. He doesn't pay much attention to them, or sometimes he chastises them for giving boons to demons. But Lord Shiva, as Sanatana Goswami explains in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, Lord Shiva is always giving boons because he's Ashutosh. Ashutosh means easily pleased. Ashu and Tosh, easily satisfied. And so with a couple of Bilvapatras and a little Ganga water, he's like completely happy. He used to say Om Namo Shivaya, and he offers 3 little leaves on his head and some insignificant poisonous datura fowl, some veil fruit, or this poisonous, what's the datura fowl? The fruit of the datura plant, which is all spiky and it's like a piece of cactus or something. You ever see? It's round and green. It's not, I don't know what kind of fruit it is, but it's about that big and it's round and green. It has all these spikes like a porcupine going all outside of it. And you go, okay, Lord Shiva, put that on his head. And then the flowers from that, this is the traditional worship of Lord Shiva, worshipping him as the Ishvara of Tamagun and the Bhuteshwar and Pibaleshwar and Rangeshwar and all those different names he has. He's generally worshipped like that by Shiva Bhaktas. But we see from our Vaishnavacharyas that they worship Lord Shiva with a different mood, a little sweeter mood. Vaishnavanam Yatashambhu, as the greatest of the Vaishnavas. So Vaishnavas, we don't put spikes on their head like Jesus Christ or something. When he was crucified, they put what they call a wreath of thorns on his head. Thorns, like babul tree. Babul tree, long thorns. They say, "Oh, you're the king of the Jews, huh? Well, if you're a king, you should wear a crown, no? So okay, here's a nice crown for you." And they had some of these bramble kind of things I'd use for fences and farms. The stickers, the thorns. They put that on his head and they pushed it down so spikes went all into his head and cut his head, and that was like a preliminary, taste of crucifixion. So, if you put something like that on some Vaishnava's head, he won't be too happy. So Lord Shiva, he's happy. Oh, he's Ashutosh. You give him that, you can give him some poisonous, insignificant, spiky thing like that. But the Acharyas say that we worship as great Vaishnavas, so rather than offering him Datura fal, we offer him para. We put yogurt on his head and milk on his head, and then we offer him para or sandesh. And then rather than giving him some poisonous flower, Datura pushpa, which is this little kind of purpley flower that doesn't smell like anything, we offer him gulab mala, some rose mala or something like this. And then I've seen, although I'm shy to do it myself because the British Basis will just jump up and down and crack you. So I know that some of our acharyas, Gaudiya acharyas, they do full parikama of Lord Shiva. They go all the way around. And they say that we worship him as a Vaishnava. And Vaishnava is pura parikama. You go all the way around 3 times. You read in the Bhagavatam that we go 3 times around the Vaishnava before we depart them. And like this. Or the cow, Namo Brahmani Devaya Go Brahmanitaya Cha Jagadataya Krishna Govindaya Namo. The cow and the Brahmins and the Lord, they're circumambulated fully and being very careful not to step on their shadow if there's a shadow there due to the presence of the sun or light. And that's a respectful way to honor the cow and the Vaishnava and the Supreme Lord, at least 3 times. But in the description of the worship of Lord Shiva, it's explained Ardha Parikama. Ardha means half. And the reasoning is that you should never step over the yoni. There's the linga and the yoni. Linga is Shiva and the yoni is Parvati. And the bathing is done there. All these things are offered to Shiva. Then he gives his remnants to Parvati. And Parvati distributes those remnants to others. And not only does she distribute remnants, but she distributes, the living entities. Because from her, she's the accommodating chamber for all her garba or her womb is the accommodating chamber for all the living entities. They ultimately expand from Mahavishnu through carrying Shambhu's, the glands carrying all the living entities from Mahavishnu. He impregnates Pradhan, or the womb of material energy, which is personified as the yoni or the womb of Parvati. Then Parvati, you can say, gives birth. So it's a combination between Mahavishnu and Shambhu and Parvati. So where that yoni is pointed, which is usually in the northern direction, it's usually pointed north, as is the case with Gopishwar. The yoni is also pointed north, and there's a new Shiva temple that opened here. The yoni is also pointed, the opening to the yoni is pointed north. So when one wants to follow the proper etiquette, he'll come into the temple, if he's aware of directions, he'll see where the yoni is pointing, and he won't cross over that. Where the yoni is pointing means the yoni is pointing north, so that it's distributing all this Shiva Prasadam of Charnamrita and all these different things, and it's considered to be a fence to cross over that. It's a great aparad in the worship of Shiva and Parvati. So one will go from the one side of the yoni to the other. It's Ardha Parikama. You understand? And everyone will do that in every Shiva temple. Millions and thousands of people. So I don't have quite the courage to do full-time around, but I have heard that some acharyas do like that because of their realization, and they're not on the platform of fear anymore. Because when there's some fear there, that means you're attached to vidhi. Vidhi means there's some fear. Oh, if I cross the yoni, Lord Shiva maybe crack me in the head or throw his trishun at me or something. But one who's in rag and and understands everything, then he can clearly act in a very transcendental way. But for those who don't have that realization, imitation is a cause of downfall. It's called anukaran. There's anusaran and anukaran. We cannot imitate those that are at a higher level than we are. Those that are at a higher adhikar, we can follow in their footsteps and try to understand, but we should be careful to imitate. One man's food is another man's poison. Some great yogis in the Himalayas, thousands and millions of years ago, they could drink mercury. They would drink mercury, and then they would urinate on copper coins. They would process the liquid mercury in their body, then they would urinate on copper coins, and the combination of mercury and copper produces gold. And that's the whole idea of alchemy in the Middle Ages. They would take copper coins and they would melt them and they would have liquid copper. Then they would take mercury, which is also a liquid. It's a liquid in a gas. It's like it's a liquid in a gas. And they would add the mercury to the copper because they know if you combine the two you'll get gold, because it's a chemical combination. But as soon as the mercury hit the boiling boiling copper, then mercury evaporated. You understand? Evaporated, it goes into the clouds, and you get no gold coins. You understand? So Prabhupada explained on one tape that the yogis and mercury, of course, if you drink mercury, what happens? Haribo! No more pendulums. You go back to Godhead, or you go to Doghead, or wherever you're destined. So it's not. So the yogis are so powerful they could digest this. So one man's food is another man's poison. They could eat it and then do this and make gold coins. And so Lord Shiva, we cannot. The point I'm making is we cannot imitate the behavior of great souls who act in a certain way. Vaishnavara Kriya Mudra. We cannot understand their mudras, their movements. Mudras means movements or posture or position. Their kriya, their activities, we should not try to understand, just try to follow their teachings.